Hello YouTube and hello 9th Age community. This is Charles with Evershade Gaming and I've got another 9th Age battle report. This is round 4 at Michigan GT, my Ogre Cons versus Orcs and Goblins. Let's get into it. Round 4 Michigan GT, we played Dawn Assault with the objective of hold the ground. I just want to give a shout out to my opponent's army. He had a very gorgeous Orcs and Goblin army. I feel like he had lots of fun units and lots of nice customizations. His trolls were looking particularly awesome. I enjoyed his giant too. And just all around great looking Orcs and Goblins army. And here we are with the Ogre Cons deployment. My Mammoth Hunter with the paired weapons is not in the middle of the field. I just left him there because he needed to scout. But I have deployed my forces for turn 1. My opponent got to pick sides, and then I decided to go for turn 1 because I like to go first with this army. So on the left, starting with my general, who's just on his own, and he's going to vanguard forward. I know my opponent has a couple skewers, but I wasn't particularly too worried about them, and I liked the. And I thought if really need be, I can always join the Yetis because the Yetis are right behind him. I've got a Stratapult on that side of the field. I've got my Shaman with his 4 tribesmen, just his little bunker. And in front of my Shaman is my BSB with his 1 dog. And then I've got my 12 tribe star. Go Tribe Star. I've got my 4 Tuskers. I've got my Rock, and then I've got another Stratapult. This is my opponent's finished deployment. He's got his 2 skewers behind the wall. He's got his big unit of Nashers next to his skewers. He's got one of his Mangler Squigs next to them, and he's got a 10-pack of Nashers kind of right in front of that building. He's got his big block of 14, I think, Edbasher Boar Riders with his Iron Orc Warlord on a boar, who's got Tuk Guard and the Axe of the Orcpocalypse. Yeah, tough guy. And then he's got his 6 trolls. He's got his big cave goblin unit with his BSB cave goblin and his thaumaturgy adept. And then he's got another Mangler Squig next to that unit. He's got his giant behind that Mangler Squig. Then he's got his big unit of normal Feral Orcs with paired weapons. And he's got his Shaman Feral Orc Shaman Master in there with, I know he had Hero's Heart and paired weapons. I don't think he had much more than that. Yeah, because I don't think he had the Magical Arrow. And then he had 6 more Boar Riders in front of that unit too. So very combat heavy army with a couple shooting elements and plenty of magic. So this is actually kind of skipping ahead, but on my turn 1, I vanguard, or during the vanguard phase, I vanguard my BSB and dog forward, and I had enough room to just take the dog and take out a Mangler. So I said, that's fine. That's 1 Mangler down. That's, I think, a good trade-off. 80 points or, 125 or something like that. And then this is the rest of my turn. So I kind of have most of my... that's where I vanguarded. And then after my turn 1 movement, you can see I'm able to get my... I kind of pull my BSB back because he doesn't need to be that close. But then I sort of just set my general and his Yetis up on the far flank. He's got a decently long charge, the Nashers, but I think I can even take that unit. I don't know. It seems like a tight fight there. And then I am able to move up my 1 Mammoth Hunter to just take out those 2 bolt throwers. So I don't have to worry about them anymore. And I move my Shaman out of his little unit into the big Tribe Star so that he can magic off the other Mangler Squig. And then otherwise I just sort of moving my rock up tentatively, taking aim with my Stratapults at different units. I know the Stratapult on the right is going to try and shoot the Cave Goblins on probably like 5. And then I think the Stratapult in the middle... or on the left is able to be in short range of the the Nashers. I'm thinking if I can pull a decent chunk of Nashers off, then I really don't have to care if they charge the Yetis or not, or if the Yetis come into them. And I think I do hit the cave goblins, and I kill not too many. I think this was a partial hit on them, but still killed a nice little chunk, which was helpful. And I also hit this unit, I think just with a partial 2, and I kill about 6 or something like that. So decent work for the Scratapults. I do a wound with my hunting spear on one of the bolt throwers, just cuz. And then we go into Orcs and Goblins turn 1. So my opponent peels back with his Gnashers to look at my Mammoth Hunter once he goes through those bolt throwers. He just moves up the rest of his battle line. He's got his cave goblins in that field, but that doesn't really do him all that much. And other than that, I was successful at getting rid of the Mangled Squid my turn 1, so I don't have to worry about those. That was a great relief. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this battle. I mean, we're both pretty combat-heavy armies. My biggest fear is my opponent does have 3 Madgets and his cave goblins, and I'm not looking forward to having to draw those out with something, because at this point, I only have, good units. I'm almost thinking maybe I should have been moving one of my Scratapults up to do it, but they were just a little too far away, I feel like, to get there in a reasonable amount of time. So for magic, he puts Break the Spirit up on this Scratapult. I was fine with that. And then we go into OgreCon's turn 2, and my opponent missed a little something juicy here. I had a medium-ish charge into these Gnashers, and once I go through them, I have a nice, easy overrun into the flank of that boar unit. So I was pretty hype about that, because I thought, okay, this game's probably over as long as things pan out well. He took shots at the Mammoth Hunter at the bolt throwers, but they both missed, or I made a fortitude save, so that was great. So now I'm going to easily be able to clean up on those 2, so that's great. Yeah, that's just convenient to kind of wrap those up. And honestly, I think that Mammoth Hunter can take out that unit of Gnashers on his own. I mean, he's got a decent amount of attacks. I mean, they just got to fail 1 discipline test. I think he can even take a unit exploding around him. He's just tough, 2 up, 4 up. Like, he can withstand that. Other than that, this is what the battlefield's looking like. I didn't really feel the need to be... Actually, this is just after charges. After movement, I decided to sack the unit of smaller tribesmen. I'm within 8 inches of the cave goblins. So either he's got to back up with them, or he has to sort of decide whether or not he's going to release them or not. Yeah, so I felt okay about sacking them. I wasn't too worried about the trolls going to them, because it's whatever. And I'm pretty confident, I've only got like a 5-inch overrun to get into those boar riders, so pretty confident I'm going to get that. And I'm playing like that. I turned my Scratapult to shoot the boars, thinking it'd be nice to whittle them down, because I do need to break their steadfast, which will be tough. And then other than that, I just kind of try and set myself up for some charges. I'm moving Rock over to give the giant a really far charge. I think he needs, like with the Warg, I think he needs like an 11. And the boars are probably more of a medium-ish charge. They probably need like an 8 or something on their Swiss stride roll. But I was okay if the boars came in. I didn't really want the giant as much because he is strength 7, but yeah. In the magic phase, I did move my shaman back over to the other side of the tribe star, so I was within range to do both the breath weapon on the Yeti champion and the -1 to wound. I just don't want to bleed any combat res, and then I think I also put -1 resilience on the boars to shoot my catapult at them, and I do hit, but I only do like 3 wounds, so could have been a little bit better, but it's alright, you can't win them all. Easily killed the bolt thrower, overrun in the next one, and then I also easily just wipe out those Gnashers and then overrun in the flank of the boar. So again, feeling pretty awesome about this. That's a big win right now. And this is what it's looking like at the end of OgreCon's turn 2. Going to Orcs and Goblins turn 2. And I totally missed some crucial charges, so let's go back. So the trolls go into the small unit of tribesmen. The cave goblins push up pretty aggressively because I do have my tribesman unit within range of the objective too. They're just within 6, so I am going to pick up something if my opponent doesn't do anything. So he moves up so that he can also get the objective, and he's also going to plan on releasing his mad gits at my stuff. And then he also makes the long charge with the giant, and he makes the medium charge with the orc boar riders and the rock, which I was not crazy about. That's a little bit too much for the rock in one round of combat. And then, so my opponent gets a decent well, I'd say, so he gets a medium magic because he gets a 4 card, but 4 dice is 2 spells. Awaken the Beast for resilience on his orcs, which he gets off, or I actually let that one go off. And then he gets -1 strength on my Yetis in AP. And at this point, all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh crap. Because now I'm just going to have a hard time wounding these guys, and they have a 3 armor save against everything that I do. So this made me a little nervous. And I just couldn't stop his second spell with, I think I had 5 dice and I couldn't stop it. So, and here come the mad gits. One of them hits and goes through and kills a Tusker, and then the other other 2 fall short and gets them right in front, which is actually better. So that was a little tough. And then we get into this combat, and I do 2 wounds to the giant. I do 1 wound to the boar riders. They just do 5 wounds to my rock, just hitting and wounding well. And I'm on like a really low discipline test, like a 3 or something like that. And I just pass it. So I got really fortunate right here to make a crucial break check. Otherwise, I mean, 1, losing the rock is a ton of points, but also these guys getting to just do whatever they want on my flank could have been disastrous. And yeah, we go into this. He doesn't do anything to me because I got the -1 to wound up, and he's only got 2 guys. I just killed 2 boars, and that's it. So yeah, that was, I mean, I just have so many attacks. And unfortunately, my Mammoth Hunter is also only AP2 with the Wrestler's Belt. So he's kind of like the one least equipped to go into this unit and do a lot of damage, unfortunately. So big bummer there. My opponent makes his check to turn around too, so now we got a fight on our hands. And yeah, I was not excited about that. So and the combat with the trolls and the tribesmen is like a pillow fight. He does 2 wounds to me. I think I do a wound back to him. I've got my BSB, my general nearby, so I stick. And this is going into Ogre Con's turn 3. I charge the Tuskers and the Tribe Star into the Cave Goblins, and I was able to make it so that my Tribesmen hit 1 of the Mad Gits, and then my Tuskers hit the other unit. And I was pretty happy about that. I just took 2 more wounds on the Tuskers, which was actually pretty dang good. And then I take 4 wounds on the TriStar, so I actually suffered through those Mad Gits not terribly. I have an overrun if I don't lose a Tusker into the Feral Orcs, which I think is pretty good too. So I'm happy about that. I bring in the Scratapults into the boars, hoping that I can just maybe get a little swingy with my impact hits. And if I can maybe just take my Rock and try and really whittle down that giant, I'm just hopeful that I might be able to just barely win this combat. So we'll see. And then I actually tried to charge my BSB into the flank over here because I felt like I needed the support, and he failed. And I actually tried to charge my Scratapult into the trolls, also failed. So I was a little bit bummed right there. And then otherwise, I think at the end of, on his turn, I killed the other bolt thrower, and I just overrun into this unit too. So this guy's just fighting Nashers. Although in hindsight, I almost wish I turned, but I don't even think I would have been able to really charge anything. I might have been able to see the trolls, but that would have been such a long charge. And Yeah, there's nowhere where I could have fit into the combat right there. Yeah. Yeah, maybe if I reformed the... maybe if I had reformed first, because I did win combat with the Yetis, I could have reformed to be kind of tiny, but he probably could have been smaller still. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was probably not a great... Maybe, but I don't think so. Alright, this is what the battlefield's looking like. I get Cleansing Fire off on the Shaman. I get very fortunate in this, and I just blow through the Boar Riders with my Scratapult. I lose the Rock, and then we are both out of combat, and I think we both took discipline tests because units were destroyed, or maybe I just won combat, but the giant flees and is behind that impassable terrain. So that's helpful. And I overrun with the Scratapult, and I actually make it into the Feral Orcs. And we blow through the Goblins too, and the Tusker's making it too, so feeling pretty saucy about that. At least my right flank is going well, even though I did not expect as much success on that flank. The Trolls do blow through the Tribesmen, and they overrun into my my BSB, which I'm kind of fine with. I don't think they can really take on my BSB. I think I can... I'm not crazy happy about being in that combat with them, but I'm also just it's kind of whatever at this point. And one Tribesman is alive and fleeing. And then this, I think I might issue a duel with my Yeti champion, and I think he might accept it with his champion. I don't think I kill him. I don't think he kills me. His axe guy just goes to town on the unit, does a decent amount of damage. We try and swing back, and we kill just 2 more boars. So this, we just ended up losing combat by a decent chunk, and we just couldn't stick. I think it was something ridiculously low, like I don't think we were auto breaking, but I want to say it was like a 3 or a 4, and I had my reroll, but just really low test. So he's able to overrun, gets my Yetis, gets my general, which that stings, and then on his turn he overruns into this guy. And I want to say I won combat against the Nashers before we fought the Yeti combat, but they didn't pop because the general was nearby. So, whatever. Yep, this is what the battlefield is looking like. This one Maggot is just going to town, having a great time on his own. And, the giant rallies. That's about it, really. This was kind of interesting. So the Trolls were outside of the BSB's dead, actually, and the Trolls were outside of the General's discipline range. And I just kind of win combat by 1 or 2, and they fail their steadfast check. It's a pretty low steadfast when they're on their own. The crazy thing was, though, is my opponent, was like, okay, my BSB's I'm telling him I got a 4 up. My opponent's just like, well, let me just vomit on him. He vomits, and he does, I think he wounds with every single one of them. He's six vomits, 6 wounds. And I'm like, thinking in my head, like, okay, like that's the craziest thing I've seen in a long time. So I take up 6 dice and thinking like, okay, this BSB is about to die. That's gonna suck. I roll 5 for a page of save. So we both have hot dice, but thankfully, I guess mine were equally hot. And I'm able to win. And I want to say I pursue, but I only go like a few inches. So on my turn, because that was my opponent's turn, which I think that must have been his turn 3. So this is going to Ogre Hunters' turn 4. I decide to just charge my BSB does overrun to the Trolls. And he went so far, he was like pretty close behind them, but he didn't catch them. He was out of sight of the boar unit, unfortunately. So he was within sight of the Manglers, of the Nashers, I mean. So he charges the Trolls, who flee off the table. They kind of go through the building and just go right off the table. And then he goes into the flank of the Nashers. With my hope of being, I'm in a duel right now with his orc guy, with my mammoth hunter. With, I think the first turn I just kind of barely was able to hold on. I don't think he did any wounds to me. And I think I might have done a wound to him. And just barely stuck on a 5 or something like that. Because he had charge, flank, banner, big flank. Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was like a 6 or a 5 test, and I passed that one. So I was very fortunate there. I moved my shaman out of the tribe star so that I can be within range of magic. And I also tried to charge the Scratapult in the rear of the boar unit and failed. And this one was like a 10 or a 12-inch charge, maybe like a 12-inch charge, and I failed that one. So I was a bit bummed by that. My one tribesman that's fleeing continues fleeing, and then I just turn my tribe star to look at the ferals. The round of combat on my opponent's turn goes pretty well. I do a decent amount of damage, but I don't think those units are going to be able to do enough. They just they've taken a lot of damage both, so yeah. I get Children of Umi on my Mammoth Hunter. It looks like he took a wound, so maybe he did take a wound in the challenge, so even more incredible that he stuck. And I think that's about it for magic. After combat over here, again, we did a fair chunk on those barrels, but not quite enough. And I've got one Tusker alive with one wound, or 2 wounds remaining, who's fleeing from them. He gets away. I think the chariot was killed. And then going into my opponent's turn 4, he charges again, and I think I get away. And he's still within my charge arc, so then he brings up his, I think his giant to chaff me. So there's that. And yeah. Oh, that's right. And then on the previous turn of combat, the Nashers who are still steadfast, they now fail a steadfast check, and 6 of them blow up and do 1 hit to everybody, and I don't think it does anything to anybody, but I was actually sad to lose that because that was a great amount of combat res for me, just to have my BSB blow through them. I needed them to live through this turn, die this turn, so that my BSB could have charged on my turn, but it's whatever. It is what it is. My opponent gets Awaken the Beast off on the giant to make it a little bit harder for my tribesmen to kill him. And this turn, the Omen of the Orcpocalypse boy, he does kill my Mammoth Hunter, so that's a bit of a bummer. I charge my BSB into combat, and I charge my Scratapult, and it fails again. This one was a really short one, and it failed. And I just go in there, and I just issue a challenge, or issue a duel. His champion accepts, and I win, and he breaks, and I run him down. So that was pretty cool. And then I believe I just, I don't know if I must have charged here. And we killed the giant, yep. And then we turned to face the ferals, who we kind of just really blast apart with some magic a little bit more. And then on his turn 6, they fail a frenzy check, which is, I just moved my shaman back in the unit. They fail a frenzy check. I think we kill every single feral in the unit but the shaman, and we run them down. Or no, the shaman gets away. The shaman got away. And this game ends in a 19-1. Because I easily got the central objective, really dominated there, and yeah, no complaints. That game went really well.
As the sun sets on Abros, I'm looking pretty with 68 points going into round 5. And the Evershade Gaming boys, they just enjoy a nice chat and breather by the Grand River in Lansing, Michigan. See y'all for round 5.